Hi everybody, Sniper69 here. Today I will bring you a Donskoy commentary. It's a little bit unusual since I mostly play cruisers on the Asia server and I don't have many cruiser replays, so I decided to pull this one out, and this one's a pretty monstrous game, to be honest, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll just be speaking about some of the decisions I make and some of the things that I recommend that you do in the ship. So firstly, this is a tier 9 game, T7 to 9 bracket, and Donskoy is very different to the Chapayev in the sense that its concealment is a lot worse, but it still has the same 11.7 kilometer radar, so you can't stealth radar, and if you want to play aggressive to help your DDs to radar, you have to be pretty careful with your positioning and showing your broadside, because the Donskoy has a very high raised citadel, which means that if you're not careful, you will eat citadels for days. So the enemy team has 3 destroyers, they're capping A and B, so we know 2 destroyers are there, and RZ-23 isn't really being contested on C, so I'm thinking that there is nobody here, and that's why I turn away and start heading over to B. The main advantages of the Donskoy are the amazing, really good ballistics. You have heavy 180mm shells, which have 30mm of penetration, and to be honest, these guns would probably be a lot better at tier 8, tier 7 to 8, where there's 30mm of pen would reliably penetrate a lot of enemy ships, but unfortunately at higher tiers you really need IFHE on the Donskoy, so you get the 39mm of penetration to actually damage battleships the bow and aft. Take a shot at the North Carolina. I didn't realize I had AP loaded, and I get a nice 6k salvo, but then I quickly swap back to HE, since the HE is far more potent. Given that you have the 39mm of HE penetration, you can fully penetrate the deck of a North Carolina, any US battleship, by the way, and you get your fires as well. So this game is, to be honest, is really rather boring until the end. The thing about, firstly, we are playing on tiers of the cruisers, tiers of the desert, and the second thing is just the style of play on the Asia server is a lot more passive, a lot more careful and calculated. I mean, every now and then you do get potatoes, but you can see with my build. Initially, I was playing the Donskoy stock, and I didn't have the range upgrade, so I was using the range mod, and I was too cheap to take the range mod out. So I have a really long 20.6 kilometer gun range, and to be honest, sometimes the gun range isn't particularly useful. So for example, if I'm shooting the North Carolina, I don't need an extra 16% firing range, and to be honest, the reload module would be far better in terms of dealing damage. However, in some games which are a lot more passive, it's a lot safer to be firing from long range, given that the Donskoy has a really, it's got pretty bad armor, to be honest, and it has a really bad turning circle to go with it. So, and a pretty okay, it's not, the rudder shift is okay as well. So since you're unable to dodge at closer ranges, if you're just sitting back spamming HE, it's a lot safer, and the reason, and you can get away with doing monstrous amounts of damage just sitting back and burning stuff. And given that your guns have really good ballistics, it's actually quite easy to hit targets at long ranges, and with the 39mm of penetration, your salvos will do a lot of damage. So I've just parked here between B and C cap. I've got battleships who are in front of me. I guess they're kind of being sponges at the moment, but I'm getting away with just sitting broadside since no one's targeting me, and that's the really good power, the advantage of using priority target, because you know what you can get away with, especially if the enemy team is not focusing you, and you can just damage farm. So yeah, so far it's looking good. Our team has managed to kill 2 of their DDs, and we've got 2 caps, and we're firmly on the caps, especially on B, which is very impressive. So this game is looking really good. We have a 200 point lead, and we've killed two DDs, and their battleships, or this North Carolina, is taking a beating from our battleships, which is very good. But then, unfortunately, things start to change reasonably quickly. So, Kagero manages to torpedo the Chapayev. Kutuzov's taking a beating on the B cap. And these cruisers have played really aggressive, and they've gone to a really good position. But then you can see that our battleships, who are on the B cap, are now retreating and sailing away, which means that these cruisers will be caught out in the open and potentially pincered by the enemy at F7, F8, as well as the enemy pushing up from the A cap. Now, to be honest, I want to be behind the islands in a defensive position, so that's why I'm moving out. And we do need to keep an eye on the Kagero. So I can see 3 ships are targeting me, and the Iowa has launched a salvo, and I see it too late, and I eat a citadel right on my butt, on the butt of the ship, and that salvo didn't even hit my smokestacks. It hit like the back, the back guns area, and you just eat citadels in the ship. And I really need to disengage at this point in time. So we're taking pot shots at the Nagato, mainly for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's a Nagato, and it's really slow, and you can get away with pummeling it with your very accurate HE. And the second reason was because at the time of this recording, it was the UK battleships missions, and there was a mission which required you to do a really large amount of fire damage to battleships, and that's why I'm just targeting these battleships more, very specifically, when I should, to be honest, be targeting the New Orleans. Anyway, our Benson dies, which is not very good. I'm not too sure what the Benson was doing. It's trying to be aggressive, but we have the caps. You don't have to do stupid stuff like this. And I know that Kagero is in front of me, so that's why I'm turning in. He might have launched torpedoes at me and this Gneis now who's behind me. But to be honest, I have a feeling he's saving his torpedoes for the Amagi. And I use my radar, which is the advantage of the Donskoy. You can spot all these ships, all these DDs at 11.7 kilometers range. And the Kagero is a bit too close, eats a nice 6k salvo, and it's really important that I can try and kill him before my radar runs out. And the Kagero, he manages to turn away just in time for, just in time so the distance between us is greater than 5.4 kilometers, and he manages to stealth up, which is unfortunate. At the time, I don't think I don't think I've used the radar module on the Donskoy because to be honest, I'm very close to the Moskva, and I really don't want to use doubloons to take it off. But yeah, in this case, the radar module would have been a lot better to use. Now I need to be careful. I need to watch out for the Kagero's torpedoes. My team, the enemy team, is pushing into B cap just as you would expect, and our cruisers who are on B have died. The Kutuzov is dead. Magi has pushed onto the B cap very aggressively, and he's surrounded on 2 sides. He's gonna die pretty soon. And the Z-23 he's in a very clutch position. If he can land torpedoes now, it would be really good. But he has to watch out for that New Orleans. Anyway, I'm just still taking shots at the Nagato, trying to get fires. Swap over to the Bismarck. It'd be good to get some fires on him. But unfortunately, he goes behind the island. Swap back to the Nagato. If I can kill this Nagato, this poor Nagato in tier 9 matchmaking, the points will swing into our favor, which is swing even more into our favor and alleviate some pressure off the Amagi. The Edinburgh starts reversing, and fortunately no one's targeting me because I'm on this flank position. But priority target is showing that 2 people are targeting me. It's probably the Bismarck or the Edinburgh, but it could also be the Kagero who's torpedoing me. I'm not too sure what that Kagero is, so I have to be very careful about his position as I turn in and out. Now the Bismarck is getting quite close to to one of his Bismarck is between 2 Amagi. He's pushing between 2 Amagis. He's got the HP advantage, which is quite important. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend the enemy Bismarck making such a play. But this is a very important moment in terms of the game, because if our Amagis die, if our Z-23 gets caught out, it could be very unfortunate. The Edinburgh pops up. I've got AP loaded, expecting the Edinburgh to be around soon. So that's why despite because of the race, because things can go very quickly wrong, I've decided to fall back into a more defensive position where I can help in terms of defending the B cap. So one of the monkeys has died to the Kagero, implying that the Kagero is on the B cap. Given that the B cap is being contested, I know where the Kagero is. The Bismarck is 8.9 kilometers away. I launched torpedoes. These may or may not hit, but better just launch them than be sorry. I see the Kagero 13.4 kilometers away. He's spotted very briefly, and this is probably the game-winning salvo, to be honest. Kagero, he's in a smoke, and the blind smoke fire shot, I take a shot at the Kagero while showing full broadside the Bismarck, and I kill the Kagero, which means that the B cap is no longer being contested. The enemy team has now their push has been stalled, and there's only a Bismarck who's pretty much caught out of position by himself, and there's so many torpedoes coming in. He eats one torpedo. I don't know if he's flooding, but he's eating a lot of damage. My torpedoes are, I don't know if my torpedoes will hit. Will they hit? I launched them when he was like, they missed. They ran out. Unfortunate. Anyway, the Nagato is 15 kilometers away. 16 kilometers away, sorry. I managed to get a fire on the Bismarck just before I tuck away behind the island. The Z-23 is very low, so you can't really rely on him to be aggressive, which is fine. It's reasonable. Colorado behind us. Poor Colorado. So unfortunate for him. And then there's the Iowa in front of the Missouri. So the Bismarck is on the B cap. We need to take out that Bismarck in order to preserve our points lead. Now, I take a shot at the Nagato to get a fire. Because remember, the fire, it's important to complete my fire damaging mission. But in the meantime, I should have been, I swap back to the Bismarck, get a nice 6k salvo on the Nagato and a fire, which is perfect. The Bismarck's burning quite nicely. There's a second fire on him now, so I swap back to Nagato. It'd be really unfortunate if, say, the Nagato manages to survive and just sail to the back of the island, because we need these points. I don't think our team can hold onto the B cap. If the enemy team's able to get a few more kills, get another, especially because our Missouri has just died as well. So we're down on battleships. There's a Gneiss now and a Colorado, both tier 7, not going to last particularly long. So managed to get a fire on the Nagato as he's sailing away. The Colorado is probably going to be the next target from this Iowa. From the enemy Iowa. The Colorado has 25 millimeters of armor, which is fully penetrated by 406 millimeter guns, which the US has. So I don't expect this Colorado to live particularly long. This Gneiser now, if the Gneiser can manage to rush the Iowa, it'd be really, really good. But unfortunately, there's one ship which I have forgotten about this whole time, which is the Edinburgh. And the Gneiss now takes a massive hit from the Iowa, I'm assuming, and he's just getting peppered by the Edinburgh. He's showing full broadside to the Edinburgh, so he's going to die. And now, take note of the scoreboard. So it's 5.5 minutes left in the game. We are on a 240 point advantage, 240 point lead, and the enemy Iowa has pushed onto B cap. Now, if I stealth up and sail away, the enemy team would take the B cap, because our Z-23 cannot fire. He might be able to reset the cap with torpedoes, but he cannot use his guns to reset the cap, because he'll just get shot at. So basically, for the next 5 minutes, I have to try and stall as much as possible to preserve our 240 point lead, because even in the off chance that I do die, if we have enough of a point lead, the enemy team will not be able to cap C. Because at this point in time, if the Z-23 plays correctly and just hides after I die, or he manages to land torpedoes, assuming he plays correctly, they should not be able to kill the Z-23 if he plays correctly. So if I can stall for as long as I can, delay the enemy capping, we can accumulate up a good enough point lead that even if I die, we should still win. And as I was speaking about the Donskoy's armor, I eat a 10k salvo from the Iowa, and I know I am showing broadside in the salvo, but he would have aimed at me sailing away. So I know that if I turn in sharply, the majority of the shells will miss, and I'm just continuously resetting the B cap. Now, if the Edinburgh was smart, he would also be on the B cap, and he would also try and reset. Because the longer I keep stalling, the lower the enemy team's chance of winning. And the Edinburgh is spotted. He's on the B cap. If I kept shooting the Iowa, eventually the Edinburgh would cap. So I need to swap targets to the Edinburgh. And the Russian cruisers have fantastic ballistics, which means that even a cruiser like the Edinburgh, which has a very good rudder shift, can still get hit by these shells at 15 kilometers away. Whereas if you're in a New Orleans or Baltimore, or even a Des Moines, your shells, you have to get lucky. I don't want to say get lucky, but at 15 kilometers away, the enemy the shells are so floaty that there's enough time for a cruiser to react and dodge those shells. But unfortunately, the Edinburgh is pushing closer, which is good and bad. It's good because it means I can hit him, but it's bad because I'm now permanently spotted. The Donskoy has a spotting range of 12.3 kilometers, which means that at this point in time, I'm permanently spotted. The Iowa can pretty much nail me now, so I can't, stealth up and delay the cap. And I asked the Z23 for a smoke, and he places the best smoke I have ever seen, blocking both the Edinburgh and the Iowa from view. So as in they can no longer spot me, which is perfect, because as long as the Z23 can spot them briefly, I should be able to get a kill. And this is where the Edinburgh makes a mistake. He sails out of the cap to try and kill me. And to be honest, it's a tough decision to make, to be honest, because he needs to kill me, but then they also need to cap in order to stop the points. And from 5 minutes 30 to 2 minutes left, so 3.5 minutes, I've literally kept our 240 point lead. And the game, there's only a minute and a half left now, and even if I die, there's still not enough time for the enemy team to accumulate enough points to win, assuming the Z23 plays correctly and doesn't die. And it'd be really, really good if I can kill this Edinburgh right now, because if you kill the Edinburgh, then we will win by points. So that's why I decided that I'm gonna try and turn away, stealth up, thanks to this amazing smoke, and kill the Edinburgh. But unfortunately, I take a 9.4k salvo through the rear, thanks to this Iowa, who's got pretty good aim, to be honest. And that salvo pretty much ensures that the next time the Edinburgh shoots me, I am dead. And obviously, I do die. 6 points, 7 points away from a win. Would have got a Dreadnought if I had stayed alive. But 230k damage. The enemy team has a minute left. If the Z23 runs away, which I'm telling him to run away, even if they step onto the C cap, they will not be able to accumulate enough points to overtake that significant 240 point lead, which became 150 points after my death. But they will be unable to overcome the 150 point lead, which means that basically we win. On a separate topic, hopefully everyone realizes how close this game actually was, and one of the reasons why playing on the Asia server can be very frustrating. This game went out the full 20 minutes and was so close, and even though we won this game, I didn't feel particularly happy about the win. It just felt so dirty, stalling the enemy like this, and playing so passively. I think Wargaming has this idea that World of Warships is meant to be like this intense, kind of game like World of Tanks, with a lot of clutch moments. But to be honest, it isn't, and I think that's the main issue between the better players who are playing to win, and therefore play more passively, as opposed to the not so good players who play to have fun and rush in and die, and don't contribute as much to the win as they should really. But that's a separate topic which I might cover in another video. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, 231k damage in a Donskoy, highlighting some of the very strong aspects of the ship, but also some of its weaknesses.